Today we're going to talk about how you can improve your finger grip endurance by just using this, a regular old hangboard. This workout can range anywhere from 6 minutes to 15 minutes total, so it's really good to do at the end of a climbing session, which is what I normally do. I will caveat and say that there are some benefits to doing this entirely by itself or at the beginning of an easy climbing session, but I'll go into those details later. So to lay out this video, I'm first going to go over what the workout actually is. Then I'm going to talk about some levers that you can pull that will basically make the workout easier or harder, depending on what you're looking for. And finally, I will talk about the pros and cons of doing this workout by itself or at the end of a climbing session. So I refer to this workout as the 7-3 protocol. It's a pretty widely popular protocol within the climbing community for hangboard training, and it's basically just you hang on a hold for 7 seconds, then you rest for 3, and you repeat that X number of times. The way that I typically use this protocol is that I do 6 sets of 7-3 hangs with 3 different holds. Okay, I know I just threw a lot of numbers at you, so let me break this down. I choose 3 different holds on a hangboard, usually one challenging, one moderate, and one easy. And I cycle through those for 6 rounds of hanging for 7 seconds and resting for 3. So I'll hang on the most challenging hold first for 7 seconds, rest 3, then move to the moderate hold. After 7 seconds there, I'll rest, then move to the easiest hold, and then back to the challenging hold. One more time through the moderate and easy, and that will complete one set. After a set is complete, I usually rest between 1.5 minutes and 2.5 minutes, and then I repeat that 6-round sequence. Finally, I try and aim between 3 and 6 sets per workout, depending on how challenging the holds are and how much rest I'm taking in between sets. So what I really like about this workout is that you're choosing 3 different holds to train under fatigue. So I did this recently with a training partner of mine from my Ninja Warrior days, Anthony DeFranco.
Then it was another speedster, former track star Anthony DeFranco.
Go check him out. And we used the 20mm hold, the 35mm hold, and then a jug on top. And what I really like is this mimics the variety of holds that you might find on a climb. I've done another video where I did a 10-50 hangboard workout. Check that out here. I really like this workout, but you're using the same hold over and over again, and it's not very common that you'll see a climb that just has the same type of hold all throughout the climb. So now that we went over the workout, what are some ways that we can mix it up? So like I mentioned before, there's a bunch of levers that you can pull to vary the workout to change the stimulus and basically make it more challenging for yourself or easier for yourself. The first lever is your choice of holds. If you're using like a Beastmaker hangboard, for example, you can choose between the crimps on there, you can choose between the slopers on top and the jug, or you can just stick with 3 different crimps of 3 different sizes. If you want to get really chaotic, you can add weight to some of the holds and do body weight for others, but that's going to require like a pit crew level of changing out the weights and adding them back on, and that can get sticky. Also, if you have access to pinch blocks, you can include this into your workout, so you can do some hangs on the hangboard and then switch to the pinch blocks. But basically, depending on where your finger strength is at, you can choose different types of holds, or you can even choose the same hold over and over again to make the workout harder for yourself, easier for yourself, or just focus on improving in a specific hold. The second lever that you can play around with is the number of times that you do 7 seconds of hanging. So I mentioned that I normally do 6 rounds of this, but if you're working easier holds, you can do anywhere between 6 and 12 rounds to work more of your aerobic endurance. Or you can choose harder holds and work somewhere between the 4 to 6 round range to work more of like strength endurance, essentially. The third lever is one that I rarely hear about, but it's the one that I actually change the most often for myself. And this is varying the rest in between each hang. So I mentioned that it's called the 7-3 protocol because you hang for 7 seconds and you rest for 3. But there's no rule saying that you have to rest for 3. If you're working endurance, you basically just don't want to rest a lot more than you're working. So what I'll often do is I'll choose a more challenging hold that I know that I won't be able to complete a 7-3 protocol for. So instead I will rest for 7 seconds instead of 3 seconds. I'm essentially changing this to a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio, which is totally fine because I'm not resting more than I'm working. The benefit to this as well is that you can slowly work your way down, resting less and less until you make your way to doing 7-3 on a particular set of holds. The fourth lever is resting between sets. Like I mentioned, I rest between 1.5 minutes and 2.5 minutes. This is totally depending on the difficulty of the hangs. If I'm choosing something more challenging, I'm going to rest more, and if I'm choosing something easier, I'm going to rest less. And finally, the last lever is just the number of sets that you complete. If you're new to this, I would recommend sticking with 3 sets and working your way up from there. You definitely do not want to rush into this before your body is fully ready. So here's the debate. when do I do this workout? Do I do it after a climbing session or do I do it by itself? So I'm going to say this. For my experience, I almost always do this after a climbing session. That is not to say that you should or shouldn't follow suit. That is just what I normally do. If you're a total beginner to climber, I would not recommend doing this workout, to be honest. You should probably just be climbing, working on technique, and getting your hands used to gripping rock. But if you're new to hangboarding, I would say you would probably get more benefit out of doing this session entirely by itself. The reason for that is that if you do this workout at the end of a climbing session, you're going to be fatigued. Obviously. The way that I compensate for that, and the reason that I talked about the levers in the previous section, is that I just make the workout easier for myself. See, I always try and make this workout an 8 out of 10 effort level, and that's going to look different depending on if I'm at the end of a climbing session or if I'm totally fresh. But no matter what, I'm always going to try and aim for an 8 out of 10 effort. So usually I'll just take more rest, I'll choose easier holds, and if I made it a little too easy for myself, I'll just do more sets so that I make it more challenging. But the benefits of doing this session entirely by itself should be obvious. You're gonna have more energy and you're gonna have more strength to actually choose harder holds and take less rest. Again, I do wanna repeat, always err on the side of making the workout easier than harder. You can always either do more sets or make it harder next time, but you really don't want to risk injuring yourself and risking your ability to climb just to get in this workout. So to recap, if you need a straightforward workout to do in your next training session, 3 sets, 6 rounds of 7 seconds of hanging, 3 seconds of rest, 3 different holds, 1 minute and 30 seconds rest in between each set. This specific workout will take exactly 6 minutes to do, and I guarantee you're going to feel it in your fingers. If you do choose to do this at the end of a climbing session, you can check out this video over here for a pull-up and grip workout that's going to take 30 minutes to do at the end of a climbing session, and you can swap out that workout for this 7-3 protocol. But that's all I got today. Thanks a lot, guys.